Welcome to Founders Future, a podcast powered by Closers.io, where we dive into the journeys of innovative entrepreneurs and explore the road ahead of them and their companies. I'm your host, Olivia Salmons, and in each episode, we'll uncover the stories behind impactful ventures, the challenges faced along the way, and the strategies driving their future growth. Today, I'm very excited to be joined by Matthew McCutcheon, a fat loss and performance coach and the founder of Endure Coaching Academy, a coaching brand focused on helping people lose fat, build strength, and improve endurance without failing into crash diets or all or nothing training cycles. Through their work, Coach McCutcheon supports people who are tired of short-term fixes and want a smarter, more strategic approach to body composition and performance. Their coaching blends education, accountability, and realistic training principles, helping clients build results that last beyond the program. Matthew, welcome to Founders Future. Thank you so much for joining me here today. Such a pleasure to have you here.
Thank you very much. You can call me Matthew McConaughey anytime that you want to. That's awesome.
All right. I will do. Sorry, it just clipped out so naturally.
Right.
But it's cool. It's lovely. And but I'm actually really excited to dive in and learn more about what you're doing. So, with all of my guests, Matthew, I do like to start at the beginning of their journey. So, if you don't mind, kind of briefly taking me back to what it was you was doing before you started up the company, and then from there, what was the motivation behind it?
So a little bit of just background with me is I was always overweight. Like growing
Okay.
up, I was like I got up to 460 pounds. So I was like extremely obese. And so for me, I got to the point to where I got sick and tired of being sick and tired. It was actually I went to an amusement park with my sister, and there was a new roller coaster, and there was like a 2 hour line. We waited, and I got to it, and I couldn't fit, so I had to do the walk of shame to get back. And that was the moment I knew I had to change something. So from that, I was 20 years old, and so at that point, I was like, something's got to give, and so I
Yeah.
started my own fitness journey. I ended up actually owning a gym for a decade and became a bodybuilder, lost, all the weight, stood on stage, did a lot of different things. So that was kind of the precursor to this. And then I
Mm,
was I was in real estate. So after I sold the gym, I got back into real estate, and I got to the point where I just didn't like transactional um, things. I wanted to be more involved with actually making an impact. And so for me, fitness was it because it changed my life and it changed the way I live and the way how happy I was and how I felt in my own body and my own skin. And so for me, that was something that I just leaned into. So me and my wife were just like, let's burn the boats and let's go all in. I had a little bit of a background, training people, but not necessarily online from across the world. And that's kind of how we got into this.
I love it. So really like purpose driven in life, which is really cool. So making that kind of, and obviously going through your own fitness and fat loss journey, having that knowledge must be a great skill to share now with the people you're coaching. And how did you find that transition from like obviously having a physical brick and mortar gym to then obviously slowly down the line moving to online fitness? Was that kind of a big stretch and a big jump for you?
Not really, because when I was in real estate, I used a lot of social media to
Awesome.
to push my
Yeah.
my services, and so it was kind of like an easy transition there. And I had a few clients that that still wanted me to train them and write programs and things like that from when I owned the gym, and so there was kind of some lingering clientele that just needed some help, and that they trusted me because it's very different getting advice from somebody who's never struggled
Yeah.
versus somebody that's been in the trenches and is living proof that it's possible. And so that's kind of the connection that I always make with my clients is like, you're not getting some six pack preacher.
Yeah.
Like I live it every day. And so that's kind of like the transition that we made. But we had like a little bit of a presence online. So I just transitioned back into fitness.
Yeah, I love it. So using those skills again, relatable and just moving them across. And as you say, like you have been through it, you're in the trenches with them, you've been through the ringer, you know exactly what it takes. So it's just, hey, if I've done it, we can all do it. It's that relatability factor, which is so key. So let's dive into the business and see what it looks like today then, just so the listeners can have some more context moving forward. So like walk me through at this point, who would you say like is your ideal client? Who do you love to work with the most? And then from there, how is you help them and how do you support them along that journey?
So we've really transitioned more so into just like macros and training. Like
So,
anybody can
okay.
get that on Chat GPT. That's not where it is. So for us, we are diving in. My wife handles most of the female clients. I handle most of the male clients. And we are diving into like metabolic health, hormonal health, because it's all tied together. Yes, at the end of the day, a calorie deficit does affect whether you gain or lose fat. But how those hormones play into the entire metabolic health of somebody is extremely important. And so we're closing those gaps because that's what nobody teaches. So we had to
Mhm.
find our gap in the market because we had to fix more than just, $100 a month, type problems. We
Yeah.
had to have it give value to people to where they can't find it every day. And so us dialing in our skills, we've had people with Hashimoto's, uh, MS, lupus, all kinds of autoimmune people come to us where we've done heal and seal their gut. There's a lot of things that we've dove into where we've had to acquire the knowledge from other mentors to help us along the way to be able to have a value proposition to be able to elevate our prices so we could serve more people.
Yeah, I love that. And kind of as you say, it's cutting through the noise, looking at fitness as a holistic thing. Like as you're saying, the hormonal balance that affects even men and women, everything that goes in the body, the food you eat, your gut health, taking that all into account. Fat loss obviously will come naturally. So it's about like the longevity of it moving forward as well, sustaining that the whole way through. And
That,
the results
yeah,
will follow it.
that's the biggest thing is like the sustainability part.
Yeah.
Most people end up losing the same 30 to 50 pounds their entire life. And so for us, if we fix the system and show you how the system works, you don't have to continue to do that. So that's kind of the market that we're filling the gap for.
I love it. And it is quite polar opposite to a lot of like fitness people out there at the moment, especially within the online world. It's very much instant gratification, that perfect body, the influencer look. And it's not about looking after yourself and knowing the right things will happen to your body because at the end of the day as well, when it comes to fitness, everybody is different. Everybody's body works differently. Everyone's processes food differently. Everybody's hormones react differently to different things. So it's just, as you say, having that accountability to understand what's going on. And I love the fact that your wife are tag teaming, so you're obviously helping with the women and the men as well, which is really, really super cool.
It goes back to that
Love it.
relatability. I can't relate to a female, and most females can't relate to a man. So it's kind of funny because especially like we're talking about, even my guys that are on like testosterone replacement therapy, their protocol is so different from person to person because
Yeah.
every man's gonna aromatize testosterone different to estrogen. There's a lot of different plays. And my wife is helping people get off of their SSRIs and like certain things like that just by fixing their hormones. And so it's
Yeah.
all tied together. So it's kind of a cool thing that we've been able to kind of stumble into because we saw such a gap in the market and we just had to get our skills together and now we can
Yeah.
serve people.
I love it. I'm really exploring it from there. So how is it that you help people? So what is it like to work with you, Matthew? So is this like on a one-to-one level? Like generally, what is the process?
So there's different tiers. So most of it is one to one because it's very specific.
Hmm.
So if somebody just wants to come in and say, Matt, just give me some nutrition and some training and some accountability, that's our bottom tier. Then we
Awesome.
then we have our core offer to where we tie into a little bit of the metabolic health, a little bit of the nutrition, a little bit of the training, the accountability, certain things like that. That's kind of our core offer. And then we have like our top tier. That's the one-on-one where you're going to get to talk to me almost every day. That's where you get the most hands-on because those are people that have autoimmune issues, really, difficult hormone issues, women fighting PCOS or Hashimoto's or lupus or MS. Those are things where like you got to be hands-on because it's such a big problem that we need as much biofeedback as we can possibly get. So that's a little bit different, but that's kind of how you come in. We start diagnosing all your biofeedback that you're from giving me your waking temps in the morning to how many times you're going to the bathroom, so many different things that the body
Mhm.
could tell us that if we just listen, we can know what it's trying to tell us that it needs. And so everybody that comes in tracks their biofeedback through our app, and it's pretty phenomenal.
Very cool. And it's very custom as well, which is just such a key aspect to that, as we kind of said throughout the podcast.
Yeah,
So amazing.
every person has a different plan, like
Yeah.
because if their macros are going to be different, their training is going to be different, hormones, everything. So it's everybody's custom no matter what.
Awesome. And also with the different tiers as well, you're just meeting people at the level they're at. Because there's obviously, who's to say within 3 months they're not ready to take this next step and go a full out one-to-one program. So it's just easing people in sometimes, knowing when they're ready and just kind of taking accountability from there, which is, again, just such a great approach moving forward. I'm very intrigued to find out that how you go about acquiring your customers. So like when it comes to marketing, what are you really finding most effective at the moment in finding that right person to work with?
we I do a lot of value-based content on social media. So
Yeah.
from Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, X, YouTube Shorts, everything. And so I'm trying to give as much value and establish myself as an authority of somebody that knows, especially with social proof. Because if you don't, if you're just talking, but I've got clients and testimonials of like, hey, Matt's awesome. He fixed this. I feel like a new person. My sex life with my husband or my wife is better. Like all of these things mean so much. And I think hearing it from me is weird, but when you hear it from somebody else that's living it and going through it, it has much more power. So for me, I've always used social proof as such a push because the thing is I'm not telling you how awesome I am. I'm having my clients whose lives I've changed tell you how incredible the program is. And so I think that's a really big thing, and we push a lot. But I try to give value. I try to give as much sauce in my content that I possibly can, because
Mhm.
guess what? Somebody still has to implement it and still oversee a lot of it. So even though I can tell you exactly this is how you fix it, you've got to do certain things in a certain order to make it happen. So I just try to put as much out there that you can even, most people will charge just to get that information. So everybody's scared to like give away, but I'm not. And so that's things that I've learned from mentors as well, just give. If you give and
Yeah.
give and give, they're going to come.
Exactly that. And it is about being, it's not just giving like anything, but it is giving authentically, with your heart, proving, as you say, client testimonials are amazing. And it isn't, people often confuse sometimes marketing with like selling themselves as a product, but it's not. You actually want to sell your success as a product, how you help people, what it is actually turning around the program's doing for people's lives. And just being seen as that specialist in your field is such a key for that. So do you run any form of like ad campaigns online or like really push social media in that sense as well? Or is it mainly organic, your approach?
We've done both. And
Okay.
it just kind of depends. Like once I start talking any kind of hormones or anything like that, the social media is gonna shut that down so that they suppress it. But I do run. We have run some paid ads, but we just do it specific around specific times of the year for the most part.
Yeah.
We're coming into the beginning of the year. We're going to run some paid ads, but a lot of it has been organic and word of mouth, like a ton of referrals
Yeah.
from all of our clients, past clients, just spreading the word. And when you see people's bodies start changing, you're like, what are you doing? What the heck is going on? You're like, are you on the shot? You know what I mean? Like everybody always constantly it says, and they're like, no. And so it's one of those things to where we push referrals. Like I pay cash money to my clients. Hey, you send somebody, I'm going to give you money. That's just,
Hmm.
so for me, I just want to continue to reward the people that are spreading the good news and sending folks my way. So, but we do run some paid ads on social media, but we really hammer organic. So like
Yeah.
it's incredible the amount of following and the amount of business. We're talking close to 50K a month strictly off organic.
Nice.
And so
Yeah,
like
and that's a good push. And it is just as you say, it's like that trust that you can build for people. Even with like referrals, as you say, it's like, yes, we know we're doing a good job. Let's just make everyone like excel from this and see where it takes you. The thing with ads that I love the most though is just the consistency you get from it. So as you say, kind of like 50K is where you're at, you add on top of that and you can just keep it rolling and rolling, which is so nice. It's just that balance between the two sometimes.
that's definitely where we're headed. So we
Yeah.
have a we're at the spot to where we have a fulfillment issue to where we can
Okay.
only take on so many more. We've hired like that's kind of like where we are like roadblock wise is getting another coach because I have over 70 clients across the world from Scotland to
Yeah.
Oregon. And I had some in New Zealand and Egypt. It's crazy, but it's just so much in
Mm.
order for me alone and my wife to just handle just the fulfillment aspect. So for us bringing on a qualified coach, putting them through the same training that we go through and the thing is like people that have actually been through the process are the people that know how it works is who I want to coach. And so it's finding that it's really, really tough. So that's the biggest
Hmm.
kind of fulfillment issue that we have.
Yeah, I can, and or if you're at that point as well, when most founders they do need to kind of branch out because you do become the bottleneck, and it's like an over glorified
Oh
job, and
yeah.
what are you going to do? And if you
Yeah.
and your wife are already in that position, it's a good problem to have. Don't get me wrong. A great thing we often find is like people that have gone through the program are always great people to come on and coach it, just because that level of trust and alignment they already have with you is a really cool aspect. So that might be something to look out for yourself. But like in terms of the team dynamic, is it just you and your wife at the moment, or do you have people that help out with like the sales and the marketing and just operations in general?
So we do outsource just a little bit of our ad creative and
Cool.
some of the marketing, but for the most part, as far as the fulfillment, it's just me and my wife. And I did hire a coach. So he's been ghost coaching, and then he's going to come on as an assistant just to make sure,
Nice.
that so we have had to do that, and we're in the process of bringing on VAs just to be in the DMs, just certain and setters. There's a lot of things that we just need to do.
Mm,
I'm looking at, I get nervous when I'm like outsourcing sales to somebody because I
I
was
get
like,
it.
are you going to be as good as me? You know what I mean? So um, those are things, but we're constantly looking because we have the golden handcuffs. Like we're making plenty of money, but we're at a point where we have to delegate out in order to grow. And so like that's where most people in business kind of get locked into that box. And every mentor I've had is like, you got to delegate, you got to hand this
Yeah.
stuff off. And so, and it may not be just as good as you, because no one will probably be as good as you or as passionate, but they can be real close. And so
Yeah.
that's kind of where we're at with things.
That is it. And no one will be perfect in replacing you in that role, but it is just like, okay, we can get you 99% of the way there and we'll work with that moving forward. And it is just most of the time just making sure they're aligned with what you do and that hard work really just pays off, even if the skills can come later on.
Yep.
But again, not a bad problem to be in. So it's just like letting go of those reins a little bit and finding the right person to take charge. But like, what are your plans then for the next like 6 to 12 months? So like when you think of scaling the business and taking that next step, like what is the goal you're maybe looking to achieve or the vision that you have like set out for yourself?
So we have more than 5x our business in the past 4 months, I believe. And so like we went from 10K to 50K a month in the past 5 months. So we really are wanting to scale to that 6 figure a month within the next year, and it's very possible. It's just setting some things up to align right as far as not lacking on fulfillment. That's my biggest thing. Making sure that we just hammer a killer product, and so bringing on some good coaches and things like that are really important. But just making sure that all the things that there's no, because as people scale, their things start falling through the cracks. And I
Yeah.
just want to make sure that we're not scaling too fast to where that happens to where we start getting a bad reputation. So
Hmm.
that's kind of the balance that we're trying to figure out. But putting in the right pieces is all that we're really, really needing at this point.
Yeah, awesome. So just like as you say, walking that fine line still, how can we keep growing and just making sure that product stays concrete the whole way through? And again, it's just a challenge you have to kind of work your way through. And as you look to like grow and move forward, how do you, because the online fitness world is growing so much at the moment. I feel like since COVID, it's taking a massive, massive boom. And kind of as you see yourself progression or kind of going through that as well, where would you like to see yourself positioned in that? Like, is that the specialist you're kind of going for and want to dominate the field in a sense, I guess?
Yeah, I think that's the biggest thing is like we have, we're not just like fitness coaches, like fat loss anymore. It's more so of like hormone optimization and metabolic health and tying those two together because we can fix so much stuff with the body just by knowing what to do. And so I think that is separating us because hey, sure I can diet you and crash diet you and make you lose 15, 20, 50 pounds, but can you keep it off? And so
Yeah.
for us, we're specializing in the sustainability and fixing biology. That's the biggest thing is because we know physiology and biology so well, we can actually fix things with the human body that most even medical doctors just say you're fine, your labs are good. And even though they feel like crap. So that's kind of where our specialty is for people that have kind of been dismissed by medicine and don't know where to look. So I think that's kind of our spot that we've kind of had to niche down to because
Yeah.
everybody's a fitness influencer. But
Exactly that. And it's just so much better approach to it as well. And I feel like so much more needed, especially within the way that the kind of the medical state is coming up at the moment, relying on medicines, pills, just covering things up. Looking into fitness and sports is probably the most logical sense. So it's just taking control, Matthew. That's your job now moving forward.
that's it.
But I have one final question to ask you. So if you could go back in time and you could only leave yourself with one piece of advice moving forward, something you know now, but that you didn't know back then, what would you say to yourself?
No matter how scary it seems, it's never as scary as in reality as what it is. So just take the leap. Inch is our fear is an inch deep and a mile wide. That's what they say. And so
Yeah.
I did. There were so many things I just didn't take action on because I was scared and like I wasn't going to die. Like so for me, just taking action and speed. Like the world and success is rewarded by speed. And so most
Mhm.
people have paralysis by analysis. You're going to fail. Like I failed a trillion times in business, in life, in relationships. It's a part of the recipe. It's not a part of whether you succeed or you fail. It's a part of the recipe of success. So just just go. That's going to be that would be my advice.
Awesome. I love it. Just go and do it and figure out the rest as you go. But Matthew, thank you so much for joining me today and for sharing your incredible journey and insight with us. Where can our listeners reach out best to work with you or connect with you if they would like to do so?
The best way would be to reach out on my social media is at the Coach McCutcheon on Instagram is usually probably the best way to find me there, or that's probably the best spot. So find me on Instagram at the Coach McCutcheon.
Perfect. The Coach McCutcheon. There we go. Beautiful. And thank you again for joining us. And to our listeners, if you enjoyed this episode, please be sure to go and check out Matthew McCutcheon at the Oh my God, at the Coach McCutcheon. That's a tough word to say. And then and do not forget to subscribe to Founders Future via wherever you listen to your favorite podcasts. And if you are a business owner, specifically a coach, consultant, or agency owner, and you're really looking to scale your business and you want to enhance your sales and marketing efforts, visit closers.io to hop on a call with one of our team and discover how we went from zero to $30 million per year in less than 3 years. But until then, keep on climbing and we will see you on the next one.